going on, Jerome's? Your Minnesota Vikings got it done Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals, 34-26. Maybe it shouldn't have been as close as it was, but it is what it is. The Vikings have won 5 in a row. They moved to 6-1 on the season. That lead in the NFC North division widening. So we have 10 truths for Tell the Truth Monday. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. First up, number 1. Fired up, man. The Vikings are as good as their record. That's right. And I was told last year when the Vikings were dropping these close games but playing very well, it's like, oh, you are what your record says you are. Where are those people now? You are what your record says you are. And the Vikings have won these last 5 straight games, all one-score games, all very close, all had to dig deep, a lot of adversity throughout most of the games. And guess what? They came out on top. So I don't know what people are complaining about, man. It's like, hey, you want to blow out and win every single game by 40? It would be nice. It would be nice, but the Vikings are working towards that. They're 6-1, getting it done. I have the second best record in the I was going to say National Football Conference, except who says that? Second best record in the NFC, and their only loss is to the only undefeated team in the league. So we'll take that. We'll take that as of right now. And the great thing about it is they're still getting better. Like, they still certainly can get better. The offense leaves a lot of meat on the bone, whether it's play calling, whether it's execution at times, even though Kevin O'Connell, respect, has been dynamite, especially in the red zone. 5 for 5 in the red area against Arizona, as well as the defense. The Donatel bend but don't break defense, but sometimes break. It is frustrating to watch at times, but we'll get to Donatel in a second. And the return game, you have King Kenne, you have Jalen Reagor, and you haven't really busted out huge returns as of yet. They all can be better. They all can be more consistent. So that's what's amazing. The Eagles are riding high right now. They're the best team in football, up there with the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. But this team still has a lot of room to grow. And I think the Vikings fans should be pretty excited about that, because this was supposed to be the down year. This was supposed to be the competitive rebuild, as Kwesi branded it. This was supposed to be, they'll try and find their way. They have a new offense, a new defense, new special teams, and they're still finding a way to win these close games and be gritty and be 5-1. And they blew out the Packers week 1. For that, we thank you. Next up, truth number 3. Greg Joseph needs to change. And this is beyond the mama, I can change him. Like, Greg Joseph needs to get with his kicking coach. He needs to get with Matt Daniels. He needs to get with Kevin O'Connell. Like, this nonsense can't stand anymore, man. It really can't. And yes, he's only missed 5 field goals this year, which, leads the NFL. Because usually if you miss all of these, you get benched. But he's 1 of 6 from 50 plus, and for a guy who's supposed to be a long distance specialist, plenty of leg. Greg the leg. That's disconcerting. Also, he shanked 3-point afters, and was a reason why that game was so close against Arizona. Should have been a nailed it. I said 2-possession game down the stretch, but it wasn't. He has 8 missed kicks in 7 games. That's no bueno. So I said that the Vikings, they need to start investigating options, right? Bringing in some veteran kickers for workouts, maybe even bringing one on the practice squad. And I actually think that this could help Greg Joseph, because remember when they brought in Gabe Burkich during the offseason, the UDFA out of Oklahoma, he stepped up his game. He dominated, man. So I do think that maybe Greg Joseph needs his buttons pushed. Like, maybe he needs a threat of, hey, I could legitimately lose my job in the building to get him to focus and get him to have his ish together, because it ain't great so far this year, and we need him down the stretch. Number 4, Za'Darius Smith is an all-pro. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. Where number 1, he's the best free agent pickup in this offseason. And the Packers fans said that he's washed. Also, enjoy the $11 million and change of dead cap that he's on your books. Also, hey, Ravens, you want Za'Darius back? How about that? I mean, you had him in the building, but then you rescinded his contract, man. But 8.5 sacks, tied for the NFL lead with Matt Judon of the Patriots, on pace for 20.5. He is the heart and soul. He is a leader on this defense, and it's only 7 games in, and they really buy in. Like, they follow his lead. He is fantastic with the energy. He really gets this team amped up, and he gets after it, man. Like, he fights through injury. His knee's been banged up, but he's still fighting. He's still grinding. He's still getting after it, and he's still making plays. He had that sack on the second to last play of the game. He got pressure on the last play where Harrison Phillips cleaned that up. So, I mean, Za'Darius Smith, fantastic. phenomenal free agent pickup. Knocking on wood. Hopefully he stays healthy the rest of the way because Z-Man, we need him, man. Next up, number 5. Donatel's defense is frustrating, but kind of effective. So they're around 12th in points allowed. The whole bend, give up yards, don't break. I mean, they are top 10 in third down, but they're also 32nd in the NFL in red zone scoring. So that's what's rough, because that's what it's branded as. Like, hey, you can have what you want between the 20s, but if you get in the red zone, we'll stop you. That's not all. That hasn't been the case this year necessarily. And Arizona really tore it up, but the Vikings were able to get takeaways and able to get timely sacks. So things like that do swing the momentum, but you can't rely on turnovers. There is a degree of puck luck with turnovers and even sacks to a degree. So just more hold your ground. First and 10, second and long, third and long, and then best of luck from there. I want that to be more of an emphasis. And it's still a work in progress. I know guys are getting used to a 3-4, but it is good to see guys like Harrison Phillips, guys like Diesel Dalvin, who's settling into his role, guys like Daniil Hunter, who they're using more as a traditional 4-3 defensive end. I saw in the Arizona game. Also guys like Ross Blacklock and James Lynch getting some reps because it needs to start up front. Got to start up front. And also stop playing soft zone coverage and also man up against Nuke. Like, I get that Nuke is going to get his when he's manned up, but he's definitely going to get his playing against a soft zone. It's infuriating watching number 10 run wild and free in the back end of that defense yesterday. Just rough, man. Number 6, Ed Ingram needs to be benched. So I do give young offensive linemen a degree of latitude. I mean, it's not always on them. There is some communication that you got to get used to and all that stuff. And plus, the chemistry that's already been built up. I mean, since Ed Ingram's been in the starting lineup basically since right before the start of the season, you have to consider that. But Ed Ingram, he got absolutely destroyed by Arizona. J.J. Watt just completely handed him his lunch. He's allowed a sack in 4 straight games. And sometimes you rookies and young players just need to catch their breath. And it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I mean, there's a lot of football left. I mean, Ed Ingram played at LSU, so they're used to playing 14, 15 games in a season. But it's a long year. And maybe taking a step back and just watching film and just watching games could help him at this point, because right now he is the weak link, and defensive coordinators are going to continually keep picking at that scab, keep stabbing at that wound until they get theirs, whether it be sacks, pressures, whatever. And I don't know, would Austin Schlutman or Chris Reed or Blake Brandel be better options right now? Potentially, but you do have to weigh in. Is this going to affect his psyche? Is this going to affect his development? Because I still think that Ed Ingram is going to be a very solid pro. He's good in the run game, respect, but pass blocking, it's been rough. So I think they should consider it. Next up, truth number 7. Patrick Peterson is still damn good, man. That's right. Even though maybe he's a little bit hyped up for Arizona. Maybe this was his Super Bowl, but 3 passes broken up. Should have been 4, except that FUBAR penalty in the second half. Highest PFF grade in 4 years. And I think that the Vikings transition from Zimmer to Donatel on defense, going from a 4-3, primarily man coverage, to a 3-4, primarily zone, I think it's really suited Patrick Peterson, where he's able to continually keep his eyes on the quarterback, doesn't have to turn his back in man coverage, is able to make plays, is able to read and react. I mean, Peterson is out there running the routes for the receivers, and this isn't necessarily because, hey, this is what they did when I was there. It's more, hey, these are standard NFL concepts. This is what's going to happen. I've seen this on film, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Patrick Peterson is still out there winning with his mind, and physically, I mean, he's holding up. He still is doing really well, but you're seeing him more confident this year. I think that he's playing he played good ball last year, even before and after his hamstring injury. I think that he's playing probably the best football of the last 5 seasons, including his final 3 years in Arizona. So respect. Truth number 8. Dalvin still dictates the offense. And even though you got Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins and Jefferson and Thielen and KJ, this is still a run-first offense, and that's okay because they can run block up front. The receivers and tight ends are perfectly fine blocking, and Dalvin got his first 100-yard game of the season, and you could tell that he's healthy. You could tell, well, besides the shoulder, but that's always going to be an issue, but at least he's wearing his harness now. 5.6 yards per carry against the Cardinals. He had that big-time bang run against the Dolphins, basically sealing up the game. So, I mean, Dalvin is still that guy, and I think that the offense still runs through him because Kirk Cousins is deadly off of play action, and defenses are still scared of it, and I think that this is still a run-to-pass offense. Now, I don't think in a couple years that will be. I think this will be a pass-to-run offense, but as of right now, it is what it is. And number 4, wanting some more, getting some, man. Next up, number 9, Kirktober was good. Kirktober was good. Now, Kirk did not put up the sky-high Lulu numbers as in previous years, but he completed 69% of his passes. Nice. 976 yards passing through 4 games, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Ran for a touchdown as well, 96.2 quarterback rating. 4-0. 4-0 is the important number because the critics always hold Cousins' record against them when it doesn't work in their favor. But now, when the Vikings are 4-0 October, it's like, oh, it's in spite of Kirk because he's not putting up numbers. Please, he's led game-winning drives against the Lions, even though that wasn't October, against the Saints, against the Bears, and he's done some amazing work in these last 2 games against the Dolphins and the Cardinals as well. So even though Kirk isn't thrown for 400 yards, he hasn't had a 300-yard game in October. Even though he's not thrown for 3-4 touchdowns, he is efficient. He's making some plays. Yes, he's leaving some meat on the bone, sure. But overall, I think that Kirk has done a pretty good job of installing this Kevin O'Connell offense. Last, number 10. We want a Philly rematch. It kind of seems like this is what it's coming down to because the NFC is sort of hit or miss. I mean, the Niners look like maybe they're going to be hitting. Maybe they'll be a part of things, but I'm not worried about Jimmy Garoppolo. You look at who's leading the NFC South, the Falcons. Okay. But Philly has a soft schedule ahead. So the Vikings to a degree. And it just seems like this is destined for a 1 versus 2 rematch again in Philly NFC title game. Now, ideally, maybe Philly will hit some black ice or a rough patch and maybe skid off and lose a game or 2 or 3. Then maybe the Vikings can crawl back into this thing, which would be fantastic. But I think that this is just destiny. Just destiny. Revenge for this year. Revenge for 2017. And make it so, man. Make it so. But that's it. That's 10 Truths on Tell the Truth Monday. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.